Okay, so welcome to TrueLearn. I believe, still have one outstanding student who has not paid yet, and we cannot incorporate it into the curriculum until she has paid. So Lisa, if maybe you want to send her a little love note, because I have bombarded her a lot with
And I
email.
think there's a timeline to it too. So I have to get her to get it. Like it's not an option anymore. So yeah, I think I know who it is. So I will reach out and see what.
So I trialed this with them last weekend, the last weekend we were on campus, and everybody loved it. They thought it was amazing. So once it's implemented into the curriculum, I think it's just going to be a great addition. So I want to go through kind of what it is, what everything looks like, how to use it, and then some opportunities for how you could incorporate it into your particular classes. And I know for maybe some of the asynchronous classes where your exams maybe look a little bit different, this may be more of a like learning activity or a low stakes quiz situation. But really it's giving them, this whole program is giving students the opportunity to practice NBCOT prep, exam prep from the get-go. So our intent is to start incorporating this into starting in their second semester. And then, because the first semester, that's just too much, it's too overwhelming. They don't even know what OT is or what OT school is. So it makes sense to start when they start taking their intervention classes and assessment classes in the second semester. So it is all NBCOT style exam questions to include multiple choice and the multi-select. Is that what it's called? Multi-select question style, where it's 4 questions and they have to choose their top choices, and then it moves them through 3 other questions based on that original, or 4 questions based on the original question. So
And
there.
for those, can I jump in right quick? For those of you who haven't seen the multi-select, it is very different. So they
I'll
don't
see if
do
I
the clinical. Go
uh,
ahead.
I'll see if I can pull up one of the questions.
Okay. Those clinical simulation format, those have changed in 2024. The whole test changed in 2024. And across the country, they're seeing a dip in pass rates, at least as presented by program directors. NBCOT said there's no dip in pass rates, but program directors are reporting a dip in pass rates. So hopefully this will help to improve that. I think everybody here is MOT, but we're really, really looking at this to be a major boost for the OTA program. And starting with them in the fall because it just took so long to get started. We have to have it aligned when they get their book scholarship and their book money. So it just has to be there at that time.
Um, so if you've had the opportunity to play with it or even to log in, you'll probably notice that my panel looks a little bit different from your panel because I am an administrator. So I do have a few extra tabs. But what you should have on your faculty portal would be performance. And the performance, it says 40% here because our rep, her name is Allie. So if you have any questions, I have given you her email. She's amazing. She will answer any specific or general questions pretty promptly. She and I did like a demo quiz. So that's her score, is the 40%. But it will track how your students are performing. And because they haven't done it yet, I don't have any reports, but the reports tab will allow you to see how long they're spending on a particular question. So the average multiple time to spend on a multiple choice question is 75 seconds, and that is for the NBCOT exam. So if when you're creating quizzes for multiple choice, 75 seconds per quiz average is good as you're building those exams or those quizzes or those low stakes activities. And then 90 seconds for the multi-select questions. And then this will outline how they're performing on these different assignments or quizzes or whatever it is. It will also, there's another report that will show you how often they change a question and if it changes from correct to incorrect. So as we know, that's one of our students' biggest challenges is second guessing themselves and creating stories around their question, answering their questions. So that will give them that in-time feedback or that after-time feedback as to how they're actually performing with answering questions. So I think that will be good feedback for them as well. So then we've got the quizzes. So here on the left, my left, I think it should also be your left. It's the time frame of this particular cohort, which cohort is taking that you're in. So if you are teaching in the OTA program or the MOT program, you can toggle between those two people if you've been assigned to those. I'll go over groups and here's the time period. There are different modes to create and to look at their performance. And I'll show that when we do the quizzes. There are timed, untimed, and tutored quizzes options that you could build into your quizzes. You can look at benchmark, how students are performing across the institution or for a graduation year. So if you want to look and see how your students are doing based on the time that you took the exam, you have the opportunity to compare scores like that. So that's also another performance measure that you can look at, outcome measure. And because we don't have any learners yet, she will not open it up to us until we have all payments in, which is kind of frustrating. But once we have the payments are in, then we can see who the actual learners are. So I don't think I'm not sure if you have learners on your side of the portal, but if you do, it would just show you who is in the, who the learners are. Groups. I have created some groups, which I think you should be able to see. And then I think you can create your own groups. So this is, where you don't have to select each learner individually. You can create a group of students and then just select them as a group to assign a particular quiz or exam or assignment or whatever it is. Assessments. There are over 1,800 questions, both multiple choice and multi-select.
Can I take you back right quick? I'm sorry. On where you had them grouped, do we see that too, or is that just yours?
That's a good question. Can you see that on your side?
I'm not in it right now. I was just because I'm trying to look at how you have it, but I will look. I just didn't know, like, if one of us were to create the cohort, does that cohort then flow over?
I believe it does. So if anyone has it open, you can let me know, but if not, let me know when you do open it up. But
mine is open and I see the 25 to 26 all and the 25 to 26 graduation year 2022.
cool. So, and then once we have learners, I can put the learners in there and then everyone has access to that. And then assessments. So there are over 1,800 questions that we all have access to. And then there are, how many questions are on an exam? 180 questions. So there are 180 questions that are specifically built into this one assessment that are not available to the students. They're just saved, and that assessment that will figure out how to use that in preparation for their testing in 694 and see or whenever we choose to do that. But those questions are reserved, so we will never see those as in the practice area.
Well, some of it's not gonna be rain. I think I need another knife, so I don't want to.
And then reports I talked about. Okay, so quizzes. This is where you can build, and quizzes is just kind of the broad term for using the questions. So you can create a quiz, you've got a lot of options. Create a quiz. I have created folders, and I'll show you what that looks like. So I've created a bunch of folders. So for example, for my neuro class, I have created a folder. Every time you do anything, you have to hit apply. You can't hit enter. You can't just click something and it will do the thing. You have to hit apply. So I have created a bunch of quizzes, and these are my in-lab problem-based learning. Like at the beginning of my class, I have created these little quizzes for them to take. So they are all drafts right now. When I have learners to assign to, I will make the quizzes live, and all of the students will get an email that says the quiz is available to them. But right now, the way I'm using it, because I don't have anybody to assign it to, is so I've created these quizzes, and I'll show you how to do that. So they've got 5 questions. Here, this little ellipses on the side, you've got a lot of things that you could do there on the side. You could view the quiz, you can add questions. Let's say I was teaching this with somebody else, I could add collaborators. I could move this quiz into another folder. I can copy this quiz, which I have found to be easier than creating a whole new quiz, but I will show you how to do that. And then I preview the quiz, and I can manage tags. I'll show you what tags are, and I can delete the quiz altogether. So I have been previewing the questions, and this is sort of my PBL like setup. So we go through the question, they read it, and then we answer it together. What are these little icons? Well, this is a bookmark. So the student can bookmark a question that they can go back to later. They can copy the question. They can write notes, and this would be if you use this as an assignment, this would be where they would generate their answers to the questions. And this I really like, this little bubble. This is where we can leave feedback related to the question. So because there are some things that I find that are inconsistent, like, for example, it'll say, which is the most correct answer? And in one question, it will be all capital and bolded. And then in another question, it's not. And I don't know if that's purposeful, but to me, that's confusing. And I love consistency. So that would be feedback that I potentially would give them. Let's see. So they answer the question, whatever the answer is. And then when we go and to create the question, we'll look at the timed, untimed, and tutored. But these ones are untimed because it's just a low stakes learning activity. So we've answered the question, and then I can either show the explanation immediately or we can continue on to the next question. But for today's purposes, I'll show the explanation. I am wrong. Well, 4% of people nationally get this question incorrect. 91.5% of people get this question correct. So that's pretty cool to see across nationally how people are answering questions. So here to the right, it gives you the correct answer and the bottom line, like bare basics, like why is this question correct and why? Because this has some knowledge-based components to it. It gives you definitions, which is pretty cool. And then it tells you why these answers are not correct. So that's pretty great. There are some memory anchors, these little videos. I need to follow up with Allie because I tried to play one of them earlier and it told me I needed to start an account, and I only had like a certain number of free like trials. So I thought this was included in our package, but I'm not 100% sure. So
I bet it is. I bet it just has to be once all the students are in. I would think that's what it is, but ask, but I would think it's once we get the students in, and I'm actually going to send her an email right now.
So this is just another way to help students learn. And they just were absolutely in love with the format and the ability to see why the questions were correct and incorrect and all of this like multimodal learning opportunities. Any questions so far? I can't really see you, so if you have a question, just yell at me.
Olivia,
Yes, Angela.
so the feedback bubble, that's only for feedback to the developers of TrueLearn, so not students. Like
Correct.
if we were to use this as an assessment measure, that's not where we would provide anything.
I think you could put it in the notes section. Oh, actually, I forgot to say one thing. You could put it in the notes section. Because if they're typing stuff, you could put it here. What I'm envisioning is, and again, I don't know what it looks like for them downloading something. I don't know if they can. But for us to be able to grade stuff, we are going to have to put something into Moodle, like an assessment, a grading thing, assignment portal. So that would probably be another place that you could put your feedback, would be there.
And one more thing while you're on this page, copy the question.
Mhm.
Like, why would they copy the question?
So, oops, that's not what I meant. So thank you for asking that. So if they wanted to bookmark a question where they could go back and look at it again, so if they got it wrong or if they didn't quite understand it, they could go back and look at it again. Once a quiz has been made live and they have done it, they cannot retake the quiz. So if they wanted to do a pre and a post test or see how they're progressing. So maybe they did really garbagey on a quiz and they wanted to test themselves later on. They could copy that whole quiz. It wouldn't show in their stats, but I think it's just another tool for them for their learning.
Okay, great. That makes sense. Yeah.
I think that's what I wanted to tell you was that. I think you all can see the shared quiz folder, all of the shared quiz folders that I created. I tried to do one for each class, but I don't know. I honestly don't know what people can see, but. So how to create a quiz. You can create a quiz by hitting the create a quiz button, and it's the year that the student are taking it, which bank it's coming from, who do you want it in? So these are those groups that we talked about, if it's just the first years or the second years or every single one of them, which quiz name you want to give this to a description, and then where you want it to live. So this is just in the shared quiz folder, just out in the open. So here is, it can be timed, it can be untimed or tutored, and that would walk them through. So timed would be that 75 seconds or 90 seconds, untimed, they have as much time as they want to take the quiz, or tutored, which is also untimed, but it gives them, it kind of walks them through the whole process while they're taking the quiz. You can allow this test to be paused, so that would be another opportunity for some of those low stakes learning opportunities or assignments. And then this version of it, I could just Sorry, I can't keep having to move you all out of the way. How many questions I want on this particular quiz, and then I just create a quiz. So this has no questions in it right now, but I want targeted questions, 10 of them. It's tutored. It's in a draft format. There are no questions here. So what do I want to do with it? Well, I can edit this quiz and I can edit all of the details here. I can move this quiz into another folder. I can copy this quiz, like I told you earlier, which would eliminate you having to do this. You can just copy it and make any edits that you want. So then you don't have to keep like doing this, thinking of different quiz folders and descriptions and etc. But you're like, how do I put questions in there? Great question. So here is the next blue button, which is questions actions. And now I can add questions. So, yep, 1,844 questions to choose from. You can sort this by the ACODE standards. So we probably want to stick with 2022. And then which part of the standards you want to test them on. So for me, because I'm doing a lot of assessments this semester, I might want to just sort by evaluation assessment questions. Amanda, if you wanted to use this, it might be more that analysis, interpretation, competency and practice management. You might choose those domains. Ava, if you were doing this for special topics, you could do all of them. So you can sort things that way. You can sort it by, has it ever been used? Has it not been used by you? Or used by you? You can sort it that way. You can sort it by keywords or parts of the question. And the keyword I'm going to put in here is research. It will not go if you hit enter, so you have to hit search. So now I've got all of these questions based on research. You're like, well, how do I know what these questions are? So this little caret, if I press the caret, it will drop down and show you what the question is. It will show you what the answer is and the bottom line. It will show you the national average, how relevant the question is. And then I can click it and I can add that question, or I can add 10 random questions. And it will build me 10 random questions. So here is the multi-select. So this is, it will give you a root question and you have to answer the question based on that root question. And it will start with 1 and it will go to the next one and then the next one and then the next one. And then if I love this quiz, I can finalize it. The students will receive an email that the test is live. And they can go in and because it is timed, you can tell them when you want them, how long they have to take it, when it's open, when it closes. So you can have some freedom with when they're going to take that exam and then or do the assignment or whatever it is that you've chosen to do with them. So let's say I want to just preview one of these, preview the whole quiz, add another question, or I can remove a question if I don't like it. So that's basics on how to create a quiz. Any questions so far? Can you still see my screen? Okay. now we can just look at the questions singularly. So you can also sort by ACODE standards, keywords. There is an advanced search. Again, use, never use, national average, and then tags. So I have started tagging things by class and by topic. The tags that I create, you all, because they're institutional tags, you all can see the tags that I've created. But you can also tag your own questions. You are the only one who can see them. And so when you go to search for tags, you're like, I want to just find the TBI questions, or just the SCI questions, or vital signs, or a particular class. Some of them I've tagged in multiple classes because they sort of go across the spectrum. But you can also see which ones have already been used on a quiz. So you can see this fibromyalgia intervention question has not been used on a quiz, but this OT code of ethics or this HIPAA violation has been used on a quiz. Now, I have a question out to Allie right now as to how do I find out which quiz it's on? Because it says it's on a quiz, but I don't know where it is. So I think that would be an opportunity for either that's information I don't know or something that they can improve on, because I don't know then how to find that quiz. But you can bookmark a question and go back to it later. So here you see I bookmarked it and now I can find it later because maybe I want to use it someplace else, or I want to save it to remember to use it someplace else. Media, I believe this is if it has a pictogram or some other additional learning tools for the students, Picmonic rather, or if it's got audio or visual, additional learning tools, so that we'll have the little media. Reserved, if we want to pull out an additional 180 questions that we don't want to be touched, those would be reserved and that would be indicated here. But those 180 questions that are on the assessments, we won't see here. Those, if we choose to reserve, those would be questions that we would just pull out of the general population of questions. And then over here on the top right, this is your little account button. So if I drop this down, I can see my account settings. I can change anything. Oops. I can manage my tags. So here you can see these are personal tags. So this is what you would see, just the singular silhouette. And I would not know what was in there. That's just how you are organizing the questions so that you can find them a little bit easier. And then down here, you see there's multiple silhouettes, and those are the institutional tags, where I've started to sort questions into people's classes with questions where I think they might be good questions for that particular class, or if it's a specific topic that we might want to, that we might want to be able to find a little bit faster. And learner interface, this is what our students see, so they can track their performance. If you need help, there's a ton of little webinars. So if something I said doesn't make sense, or if you have another question, you can find an answer here on this FAQ page. You can send feedback, and there's a blog. Now I want to go back to this learner's interface. So the other thing about this program is that students can create their own questions. So that might be another opportunity for a learning activity. So let's say building a quiz for them. You just like, you don't have the time, but you want them to start practicing. You could maybe give them a keyword of research, or I don't know, fibromyalgia. And you're like, use this keyword and create a 5-question quiz with these parameters. And then, we have to figure out I don't know how to look at their stuff yet. I don't know we're going to figure out how to submit it. I think it'll be easier to figure that out when we have learners in there. But then you could use that as a quiz or low stakes assignment or learning activity, and use it that way. So the ways that I was thinking about how to right now, as we're figuring out the simple system, implement it into our curriculum, is through, let's say, PBL assignments, where you assign a question and they have to tell you why it's right, why it's wrong, why they made their choice, using that notes section. You could use it at the beginning of labs. You could use it at the beginning of a synchronous class online. You could have them generate a quiz. You could generate a quiz. And and I told them that since this is being implemented now, the syllabus might change a little bit and some of their assignments might change a little bit based on the introduction of this program. So if you use it in your class, they already know that it might happen, so they won't be surprised. Yeah, I think those are all my notes that I have. I feel like I know just enough to be dangerous, but there's so many other things that I don't know. But Allie is a great resource for you as well. So what questions do you have for me that I might be able to answer?
I think for me, it's once we kind of play with it a little bit, all of us really getting back together and saying, with these tags and who can really see what, in terms of the groupings of it, and then using this bigger scale, okay, program review, what is working. My initial question is, this is the new standards, right? Like, they tagged this with the 2025 or the 2023?
The options are 2017 and 2022.
Is that the change? You remember like the document that's from MBCOT? Is that what that's referring to? Or is it standards, A code?
The
Yeah, because it says domain. So when I saw domain, I was like,
yeah.
oh, it must
What
be
did I
like,
say? I don't know what I said, but yes, the AOTA domains.
okay.
The NBCOT domains.
Yeah. What did I say? Did I say all the wrong words?
You
So is
said
it
A
the,
code, and I
yeah,
was
that's
like,
what I was saying. So with the tag, so that then takes me to, is it possible, are the A code standards embedded in this?
No, I'm sorry. The A code
Okay,
standard is
okay,
not embedded.
okay.
It's the NBCOT domains. The tags are just what I created. The tags
Okay.
have nothing to do with the exam. It's how you sort the questions.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
So they did all of this with NBCOT, not with the A code standards.
sorry.
Because I'm thinking, no, that's fine. I'm just thinking, okay, as we look at it and as we as faculty are pinpointing questions moving forward to the next accreditation cycle, we can tag them with the standards, right?
I mean, I don't even know why they have the 2017 domains. But honestly, whenever I sort it with the 2022 domains, I don't see a difference in the questions.
Okay.
So I think it's
The domains are fine. I'm just saying with the A code standards, like, so let's say Angela is sitting and we need to be able to prove B 1.2. she would be able to go directly to this and say, this is what I do in class to prove B 1.2. That's the only thing I was saying, but we can tag that because
Absolutely,
we can add whatever tag we want to add.
yes.
But when it goes into, go back to where you could see the domains, that's a different thing, right?
So this
That's
is,
a category.
yeah, so this is the questions tab. And then I went to,
Yep. Okay, so the 2022. So everybody just make sure you're sticking. I know you said it doesn't matter, they were the same, but just stick with the 2022 domains because that's the new exam.
Olivia, specifically when you're creating the quizzes, I know you have those areas that you could create the quiz in, and it asks specifically how many questions do you want. So, and I think you may have gone over it, but I want to just make sure I'm clear. So like, for instance, let's say I picked OT Code of Ethics. I could just create 10 questions related to that in that domain or in that category.
so if you are in the fieldwork 1 thing,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's me.
yeah, that's you. Look at
But I'm
you.
saying if I wanted to create just Code of Ethics,
I think you would have to just use that search of OT Code of Ethics.
and then pick them out or have them random.
The randomness, you'd have to play with that.
Okay,
I don't know
gotcha,
how, like with a topic and then choosing random questions, I've not tried that.
gotcha.
But if you, let's say, questions, keyword, code of ethics, then you could just choose whichever ones you want. But you make sure you look at them that they're actually
Right,
want.
right,
But
gotcha,
you can see that I just did code of ethics, but it pulled up a multi-select. So I wouldn't probably choose this question because it would be out of context without the root question.
gotcha.
Yeah.
Because I know when I clicked it, I could also put, I, c- I could click it and then ask, add random questions, but I just want to know, is it adding random questions within a category or is it just adding random questions? It seemed like it was just adding random questions outside of the category.
That would be my gut is what it means
Okay,
by random, but you'd have to play with that.
got you.
Yeah, I think one of the reasons that we looked at this was that we could pinpoint specific things. So like Ava, for you, you see how you have the moist teeth, like you lack of wound, like all of that stuff for special topics. Like you can hit specifically stuff related to your class, and you don't have to then kind of read through that whole therapy ed book. And then you can also see, again, how long they're taking for each question. Okay, this is something people don't understand or stuff like that. The same thing with PEDS, because I think that's what attracted all of us really to this was you can really just pinpoint that PEDS piece and how it can be woven in through the entire curriculum. Like for you, Amanda, you can go ahead and just pull straight up stuff related to, I think it's domain 2. And that is really your baby right there. So how that would really kind of factor in to cross it through the curriculum. The way I see it working specifically for the OTAs, again, is that very targeted thing for the classes. I think that's kind of what I was seeing. And then specifically for the mental health class that I teach, to do it as low stakes quizzes very often. So they're in there, they're manipulating it, they're seeing MBCOT questions basically from week 3 of being in the mental health class and taking it on computer.
Oh. So what I'm sort of envisioning right now is once you all have logged in and played a little bit, let's say take the next week to just like figure it out, see what questions there are, and then we can come back as a, you know, as full-time faculty and say, this is, you know, once a week or, you know, whatever it is, to really just start embedding this into the curriculum so that they're actively using it a lot and getting a lot of prep. But since it is still new, just figuring out like how exactly to make it work right. But I think you all having the opportunity to play with the questions and like the program to see how it would work best for you all as well.
I just had a couple of logistical questions to make sure I have it straight in my head. So this doesn't exactly interact or interface with Moodle yet, right?
Got it.
Okay. So what I would do is go in, create a quiz. The students would get an email saying there's a new quiz for you.
Mhm.
And then I would just put on Moodle something about like an activity, go here and do this quiz, right? That's the workflow.
Yes.
Okay.
And what I think happens is that we would get a notification of when they've finished the exam, so we can then go in and see how they've performed. And then it's either pass or no pass, or, you know, based on how many they got right, you could, you know,
And
make
would
it.
you guys prefer to use this as like a learning tool or an assessment tool? Like, would we then just, if we wanted to grade this as like part of our quizzes and midterms or whatever, then just manually enter the grade into the grade book?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, last question, sorry. So all of my options are dithered out. Is that like, is that what everyone else has? Or did I do something wrong? Like the create quiz, all of that's just not an option.
You don't have a create quiz?
It's like grayed out, so I can't select it.
Hmm.
I'll just email. That's fine. I
Yeah,
just didn't know if I was supposed to have it yet or not.
I feel like yes. So I'll look and see if there's some option that. Yeah, so if you have not gone in, well, Richard, you did it. You created a quiz.
Yeah, mine weren't grayed out though. So I just went in and double checked mine. I pretty much went into quiz, and then on the top left hand it said create quiz.
I'll look at your settings, Amanda, and see
Yeah,
if
but
there's,
mine weren't grayed out, so that might be your challenge.
yeah, I'll look and see.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. And I think this is going to be a great addition to, I think this is going to be a great addition. I think it will help the students stress going into taking the exam because they get obviously so stressed about it, and just feeling more prepared. Although I think we do a pretty good job of helping them get prepared, but this is just like icing on the cake. So. Any other thoughts, questions? And I'm happy to meet one-on-one, or I'm happy for you to call Allie and meet with her one-on-one because she's obviously way more experienced with this than I am. So
So I hadn't logged into the program and I just tried to with the welcome email,
Mhm.
and Lisa's name and like email is and like already inserted. Is there a welcome email that I'm supposed to get for myself?
You should have gotten one. Look in your spam.
Okay.
And you should find it there. It's for, and then I have mine bookmarked because you have to go to, like, where is it? Welcome email. Where are you?
Ava, if you go in your junk and search it, you
It was
have to
in my
click,
junk.
Yeah, you have to, because I was doing that before too, and I was getting like Olivia's login, because I was like, oh, I'm just gonna click this thing. You have to go to your individual email.
Got it now.
Book, bookmark this login, TrueLearn.net, because that is where you will go to log in going forward.
Got it. Thank
Sorry, I didn't realize it was like faculty specific, the email, so that is confusing. All right. Everybody good? So I will circle back in like a week, so a week from today, next Monday, and see where you all, how you all feel about it, how you imagine it could work in your curriculum, and then how we would like to, you know, see it used from our side. And then I'll send this recording out if you have any other questions. All right. Well, happy Monday.
Same to you. See
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.
you.